Indeed, heroic deeds in children below the age of 15 are awarded every year by Indomie, whose parent company is Dufil Prima PLC. With me here, I have Mr. Temitope Ashiwaju, who is the Group Public Relations and Events Manager of Dufil Prima. Now, I know that you've been here, I think, twice or so, on the show.
Yes.
And it's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we hear that there is entries going on. I know that it's supposed to close soon. I hear there's a grace time, a grace period for people that still want to get in. Tell us about that.
Okay, good morning. Actually, every year we ask people to submit their stories. And we run it because, I mean, it's not something that will just, there has to be some point where we have to say cut off. However, it's the continuous opportunity for people to just keep submitting these stories. And that's why the website is always active. And so you can always submit these stories. I mean, the ad that ran just now says it will end on the 13th of August. But I'm saying that, I mean, people should just still go ahead and drop all these stories on that website, www.heroesofnigeria.com. From now till when the judges will sit on those stories, the opportunity for people, if you still have good stories, they are also passed along to the judges to decide who the winners will be.
Okay, so, you know, it can be touchy when you say the word stories.
Yes.
So these are real cases.
Real life situation, real life heroic stories. Those are not stories, those are not things that you find just like that in every society. Those are things that, I mean, must have been out of the ordinary. And that's why we call them heroic stories that happens in our midst.
So please take us through how the award process is. Okay, so you receive the stories, then what happens next, and then what happens after that? Okay,
there are actually three phases to it. For the whole project itself, there are three phases. There's a call for entry where we ask, I mean, just like we run an ad website, we ask people to submit heroic stories that if known to them. And of course, we also have research commission, agencies who go around the country to get all these stories. Now, once these stories are collected, the second part is the validation exercise, because we just don't want a situation whereby people sit in their offices, people sit in their room and just pick up and write stories. So these are actually stories that have to be verified. So we go around those same locations to ensure that whatever stories that have been received actually did happen. So we go around to do this verification exercise. And after this, there's what's called the judges sitting. All the stories are put together and passed on to the judges. Of course, we do, at some point in time, we do some reenactment because, you know, these are stories, these are heroic acts that had been performed. So we need to put into visual perspective so that the judges sitting on it can actually look at it and assess, I mean, what happened. Okay,
so that sounds like a very long process.
Yes.
The whole of Nigeria, this is a big country.
Yes.
A lot of entries. How many entries in total did you collect last year, for instance?
For instance, last year we had over 500 stories. However, because, I mean, not all of them will make it to the judges. I mean, you know, when you say heroic act, when you say wonderful stories, to different people, wonderful stories could mean anything. True. I mean, I was in my room, my lantern fell down, and I picked it up quickly before it became a fire.
Yeah.
For that person...
That's a heroic story.
But, I mean, there are set criteria for what we're looking at. And we're saying that at some point in time, when we collect all the stories and they meet with those criteria, I mean, then we pass to the judges for them to sit.
Okay, so now this sounds like a long process, but also an expensive process. For Indomie at Dufil Prima now, for them to have invested so much into this award and to have gone for over a decade continuing with it, how has the response been and how has it actually affected the bottom line?
Well, it's been wonderful for us because, I mean, we're happy doing this. And from the onset, we set up that we said we're going to play a very active role in that particular space because at this point, we felt that there was there was a gap. I mean, people who ought to have been celebrated were not being celebrated, especially for young lads, the children at that age were not being celebrated. And we felt that there's a need for them to be identified and celebrated. So for us, we were happy doing all this. And when you say bottom line now, in terms of direct correlation with
how much is
being spent and how much you're getting back. You see, for us, ultimately, we're saying that we need to put smiles on Nigerian faces. We need to give back to the society from where we make all this money from. So irrespective of how much we're spending, we're happy doing it. And we know that millions of Nigeria lives are being touched. For instance, if you see all those that we've been, showcasing and people who have been celebrated, it's like we've taken them from a ground zero and we put them to another level, and their lives have not been the same again, because it's not just a one-off for us. For us, we're saying that, it's, you pick them from this point, right? And you change their lifestyle, and we continue to move with them throughout the year.
I'm really glad to hear that you move with them throughout the years, because 10 years of this means that a lot of children have sort of passed through the Indomie, passed through Indomie, and their lives have been affected. But continuously, you say continuously?
Yes, continuously. When I say continuously, I mean, for instance, those who we started with, those who won, who've been past winners, we've brought some of them to the studio. You can see that some of them are in higher institutions now. We still keep in touch with them. We have people who, some physically challenged guys that won then, they are married now. In some of our events, we invite them and they come with their family, and we tell the world that, yes, these were past winners, and you can see them, mingling with the high and mighty of the society. And, it's for them. It's a life-changing situation. When everybody now says, oh, that's the Indomie guy, that's the Indomie man, that's the Indomie lady, then it's, and if you look at the stories, very inspirational. It's something that we feel that once we continue to showcase this, the young lads there, Nigerians in particular, will want to emulate, will feel that, okay, out of the ordinary, I should continue to do this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asiwaju, for coming back to the studio. There's still so much I would really love to ask, but there's never enough time. Wake Up Nigeria has to continue. We are heading over to Mike. Mike has something interesting on tech for us. It's all yours, Mike.
For Nigeria's most courageous child has started. The 11th Indomie Independence Day Awards for Heroes of Nigeria, IIDA, is here again. Indomie seeks to identify and reward heroic kids aged 15 years and below in 3 categories. Have you seen, heard, or know any Nigerian child who has exhibited great acts of bravery, physically, socially, or intellectually? Then don't waste time. Hurry and submit your entries for this year's awards, detailing the acts exhibited by the child in written form on our website, heroesofnigeria.com. You can also visit the Indomie Facebook page for more details.